Hey babies, and welcome to another week of Obscura Undead. I'm Azzy.
I'm Mouse.
And this week we have two mouse picks, the first of which is Creux's recent album released October 22nd, Goodbye Divine.
Yes, and we know Creux and love Creux. They are a four-piece band out of California.
Sacramento, I think.
Yes, Sacramento. It is Ian, the singer, Barry, David, who is also in his own band, Cult of Alia, and Kyle. And they are a bunch of great guys putting out, they say it's called California Gazed Out Romantic Post-Punk Party Goth.
Party Goth. I remember the first time I ever really heard Creux, it was at Treffhead in 2019. And I was like, because I hadn't really given them like a lot of attention, but I never really heard them until Treffhead. And I was like, wow.
The Treffhead show blew me away because it was in a cathedral and Ian's voice is it's projecting anyway,
yes,
but it's very strong and clear. And to have it like just fill the hall was just mind blowing.
I know. And on this album that's actually in my notes is just how smooth and clear and powerful his voice is. There's no warble. There's no point where it ever feels like he's running out of breath. He just seems to just go.
Yeah, I think one big thing about this whole album is it's very vocal centric because that is their star power there.
Right, to the point where they have, I think, double layered vocals throughout almost the entire thing, and sometimes it's the same melody, sometimes it's a harmonizing melody.
I love the harmonizing melodies. I love that. Vocals are the defining factor. So we have a lot of the same elements happening throughout all of the tracks. It is an 8-track album. And, oh, by the way, this was released on October 22nd on Metropolis Records.
Yes, on Metropolis. So I was a little surprised when the album started out on Jungle because it had a very pounding beat. And I was thinking, well, this is interesting. This doesn't sound like The Cure. Because that's one thing that Creux often gets compared to is, they sound like The Cure.
I think this album strays away from that completely.
I agree.
Making it more of a Creux identity. I love that opening track. Mm-hmm. I like how it is a little bit heavier on the drums. That is, it kind of catches your attention and lets you know, just like you said right off the bat, that this isn't any other band you've heard of before. This is Creux.
This is not Creux, this is Creux.
It's not Creux, it's Creux, exactly.
And that was really great. And then into the second track, which I believe they have a music video for, Misunderstanding. This is where it kind of went from the guitar-centered track to a very synth-centric track, and then the album kind of flip-flopped back and forth between guitar-driven and synth-driven as it went on.
Yes, one thing I'll say about the whole album, and I think you noticed this too, is it has kind of this classic new wave sound, like 1985. Not like the party new wave, more like
like sad Depeche Mode new wave.
Relaxed, romantic. I call it passive new wave. It's like Echo and the Bunnymen, Simple Minds, kind of Tears for Fears in a way, where you can listen to it and you can get into a mood, but you're not going to go out and party to it. Yeah. Yes,
there wasn't a single track that I kind of felt on this album would be amazing to hear on the dance floor and dance to. It was very much sort of a let's throw this on and just have a smooth ride for how long is the album? I know it's 8 tracks. I can't tell you what the length of it is though.
Gotta
However
be
long
less
it goes.
It is. But it's more of a contemplative album where you can just sit down and try to like decipher the lyrics and all of that. So it's the staying in and absorbing it kind of album, not the I'm ready to get in my car and drive down the street kind of stuff. There's another track that I like a little bit more called Becoming. It has like some wooden xylophone sounds and still like sounded very throwback to me. Reminding me of like the Thompson Twins.
Yeah, I think this is one of the mellowest tracks on the album too.
For this though, it's like the music is almost written as a background to the vocals. So you hear a couple of the elements in the back and you're like, oh, that's nice. And then once you latch onto the vocals, the song would be over. And I'm like, I forgot what with I forgot to listen to like the bass and the drums and the synth, and like I just forget because I'm so occupied and so like pulled by the vocals. Whether that's a good or a bad thing, it made it so that each song was kind of hard for me to differentiate from the other ones. Like there wasn't a song where I was like, oh, okay, you know, it does this crazy synth thing, or the second half does this thing. There's no other ways to describe the songs.
I do agree with that, because you listen to the album and on their own, like all of the tracks by themselves are great tracks, but then you listen to it and the album does kind of blend together, and it's bookended by 2 tracks that do something different. We talked about Jungle and why that was a bit different with the drums, but then also the last track, Wicked, which I felt had more of an interplay between the vocals and how the song flowed and the sort of space between the instruments. There was something about how the instruments would ebb and flow that was different from the other tracks, where it didn't just fade into the background. That kind of caught your attention because of the, I don't want to say silence because it wasn't silence, but sort of just the falling out, backing off of some instruments over others at various points in the song.
Yeah, I did like that very last track was standout. Also, on the track right before it, track 7, I Wish I Was You.
Who's you? That's what I heard every single time I listen to it.
I was listening to it and I was like, this is my favorite track. So it has like a really deep synth backbone to it. I think the synths are like super interesting.
Kind of reminded me of Blue Monday. I know I shouldn't say that.
That's not bad. It's got these overlapping vocals. I think it's by far the strongest track with the most energy to it.
I would agree with that, yeah.
And so, you know, while we're describing the album as a whole, every track is excellent. There's not a lot of them where you would pick out one or another as a different style. I think this track, I Wish I Was You, stands out as unique.
So is that your favorite track?
Yeah, that's my favorite track.
Yeah, my favorite track was Wicked.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll go back to saying that it was excellent from top to bottom. You've got like tracks like P.S. Good Night, which remind me of like the church.
And that's when they said the title of the album. They were
what?
Goodbye Divine, P.S. Good Night.
Oh yeah. Yeah, very nice.
That's my lyric of the day, actually.
Oh, very nice. Okay. Yeah, you know, this album was hard for me to review because, you know, like you'd said, like every track is great. But when you listen to the album as a whole, they're all equally consistently great. And it kind of weakens the whole thing because you don't have enough tracks that stand out and are memorable. And I hate saying that because I love the band. I love the album. I love every song that they put out. Mm-hmm. But we also have to be able to recall songs for standing out or making us feel a certain way and being unique and being able to share that with someone. I couldn't describe to you any one of these songs and you would know what I'm talking about. You know, but on other albums that we've listened to, we've been like, hey, did you hear that break in the middle where they had the birds? And we're like, yeah, the birds, you know? You know, there's nothing like that. It is a mood. It's a blanket. It's once you're in, you're immersed and you don't break from that.
Mm-hmm. All right. So that wraps up our feelings on Creux' new album, Goodbye Divine. Go check it out. Link is in the description to their Bandcamp, as always, and come back and tell us what you think about it. Do you agree with us, disagree with us? You really should tell us. We like to know.
Yeah, I love the opinions of other people. And sometimes people completely disagree with us, and I really like those.
I do too, because I'm like,
really? Okay, maybe you're right.
Right. So that brings us to the end, which means Mouse has something very special to say to everyone.
I do. Actually, the thinking of this album made me think about it. Sometimes it's not just enough to be good or great. I know that a lot of us are like going through Instagram and we're looking at photos of beautiful people, and yeah, those are great, right? But it's more effective to stand out from the crowd and be unique, display something that is uniquely you. You don't have to get it from somebody else. There's going to be something that is just you, and just be weird and be experimental and be memorable. So that's all I got for you.
All right, we love you guys. See you later.
This is